Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Conk, and here I'm about to tell you about the upcoming guild, the Conqueror's Guild. I'm going to talk about everything you might need to know about this, including everything for Orna as well as Aetheric. In fact, let's get started with Aetheric. Before that, actually. Just a little disclaimer, everything that I'm telling you about here is still in beta testing. So a lot of things are subject to change. You know, numbers might be tweaked, so if you see a number like 5, it might be 6, it might be 4 by the time this comes to fruition, and these might be tweaked over time. That's just how active development goes, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but do give feedback where it's needed. So at some point, this will be available to you guys, and it's important to the Northern Forge team that you guys give them the feedback that allows them to make a piece of content, you know, work well. That being said, let's talk about how it currently is in Aetheric. In Aetheric, you're going to need to navigate over to the Conqueror's Guild in order to participate in it. And you can do that by crossing over this new bridge here in Inagaro. There's a bridge off to the left here that's been made. And if you've never been to Inagaro before, there's a ferry in the southern end of Meropis, which is the southernmost part of the map on the bottom right of the map. So once you're about tier 5, you can reach there. And when you're inside, you have to opt in to the Conqueror's Guild in order to participate in the new content stuff. If you don't want to see any of the things, you're more than welcome to just not interact with it, but they're working on more of a consent-based form of interacting with this content. For those that want to or might, enabling it should just be a no-brainer. As for Orna, you will need to build the guild building, and you'll need level 25 as well as 500,000 gold. And that should be pretty cheap. That should be pretty light. If you do a couple arena fights in tier 2, you should be able to afford this as well. Once you're inside the guild, you're going to be prompted with this screen on the right that asks you whether or not you want to become a Conqueror or not. So there are 3 different options that you can choose here. There are only 2 on the screen, but the third one is that X button at the bottom. You don't need to interact with the Conqueror's Guild if you don't want to. At that current state, all of the current territory game that you have will maintain as it is. You can continue to trade territories with other people, just like you would before. If you don't know about that, then you don't need to. There's no worries for that. There is also the Legacy Conqueror, which is the first option right there, that allows you to keep both forms, but the daily income from the old territories will be removed. And New World Conqueror is the exact same, but it just removes all of the old territories as well. So you won't be able to see those things anymore. And that is a useful pick if you just don't want to see them anymore. If you're tired of people taking your territories, and you know, you just want to be over with it, you can go ahead and select New World Conqueror and move on ahead with that. Either of those 2 Conqueror options will allow you to interact with the Conqueror's Guild. And going forth, I'll explain what you can do with the Conqueror's Guild. But here's a helpful little visual that I made a couple days ago. With the current system, you are able to do everything with the old territories perfectly fine. Legacy, however, just means you don't get any daily income. And either of the 2 Conqueror's Guild options will let you do pretty much everything with the Conqueror's Guild. All right, let's talk about settlements, which are the main focus for Conqueror's Guild. In Orna, these are little buildings around the area. They look like that on the right, where the sprites will update. You can see them within. You can see all settlements within 400 meters of you, regardless of how much view distance you have on. You cannot see any further, you cannot see any lesser. So if there are any within 400 meters of you, which likely there will be 1 or 2, you'll be able to see them and interact with them. In Aetheric, these will be main points of interest, so things like towns, guild buildings, and you'll see once you enable it, there will be places with crowns on top of them, and that is how you interact with them. You can interact with the ones in Orna by tapping on this wonderful building off to the right, but in Aetheric, there will be a crown on top of those points of interest that you can tap to interact with those things. You don't need to be near the town in Aetheric, much like you would to be able to enter it. You just need to be able to reach the crown and tap on it. In either game, these guys are separated into 5 crowns. You'll see the topmost one right there, where I am, is the highest one, and then the 4 little tents down there populate the lower ones. And the sprites will update, as you can see. This is how it will be in Orna, where I own the top one, and then someone else might own a lower one. That's how it would look. But they're separated into 5 crowns, which are, dictated by tier. So Emperor, which is the main one, is tier 10 and up. That one's pretty straightforward. But then each one going down is an area of 2 tiers. So Grand Duke, Count, Viscount, and Baron are all, about 50 levels in range. You'll only be able to fight in your own crown tier, which means if you're tier 8, you'll be able to fight in Grand Duke, but not Emperor. And you won't be able to fight in Count, Viscount, or Baron. You'll have to use these things called Othersouls in order to fight them. I say next slide trust, but I'm lying. We're having a little bit of an addendum for Aetheric. Since there's only about 20 or so points of interest where you can contest territories, they have decided to split players into slices. Right now the number is 100, but that'll definitely change and tweak based off of how active those things are trading. But basically these are just duplicate versions of these guys, so you should have a reasonable amount of competition. Again, that one's a newer development, so that might be subject to change. The number might change, the way it acts might change. So, that one's less developed. But let's actually talk about Othersouls. Othersouls are shell characters that you can fill with a bunch of the gear that you have in your inventories. And those are what you're going to be using to fight these lower crown tiers. So for example, with that continued example, if you are a Grand Duke in tier 8 or tier 9, you'll be using 3 Othersouls, the Count, Viscount, and Baron to fight the lower tiers. You can hook them up even with sprites that you've purchased, so if you have sprite packs that you really want to use but just don't, you can pop them on your Othersouls. If you have followers that are lower tier that you really want to use for a build, you can pop them on those as well. But these have the downside of being weaker. The whole priority for these guys is for them to be weaker than players in the actual tier. So against Godforged gear, it might be a little bit more, it won't be as easy for you to take over territories as you would if you have a regular character in that tier. So, because of this, we don't have an accessory slot, we don't have amity slots, we don't have class or specialization as well. These guys are pretty baseline. You're only going to be able to hook them up with, the standard 3 armor pieces, a weapon, and an offhand. But each one of these, as well as the skills, gear, everything, can be tweaked at any settlement as well as the Conqueror's Guild building. So you're able to tweak these pretty much at any point where you would need to. Let's talk about battling. So battles, as per usual, are just like any other PvP fight. So if you're used to territory control in Orna, they function basically the exact same. In fact, the conversion will be nothing different. You basically just tap on it, tap on the battle, and you're ready to battle your tier 10 foe. HP should persist between fights. As of right now, it doesn't, but I think that's just a bug that needs to be fixed. And revisiting these settlements will restore the HP of yourself and all of your Othersouls. There is a cooldown between fights, and that is a duration that's kind of being tweaked as we go. For beta testing right now, they've set it to 1 minute, but they are going between 1 hour, 2 hours, 20 minutes. This could be either one of these things. So I wouldn't give you a hard-baked number right now because that one is changing around. If you win a battle, you will get 1 proof of conquering. And if an area is unowned by any regular player, an NPC will own it, and you can fight it instead. In fact, NPCs will also take back these areas over time sometimes, and those will be useful, for revisiting some areas that you might, commonly visit, like your origin town. You can keep checks on it and occasionally fight these guys for some more proofs of conquering. But in the case that you don't, there's also duels. Duels are a PvP-less version of fighting something. You don't actually own anything by winning or losing this battle, and there's no harms in participating in this whatsoever. It's basically a game of rock, paper, scissors, but a draw. For example, if you were to do paper and they were to do paper, you'd be allowed to do it again. The game is actually sword, axe, shield, I think. And if you win, you will also be given a proof of conquering. If you don't like PvP, or you've owned all of the territories and, like, same scenario, there's one near your origin town and you're just kind of chilling there, you could duel there frequently to get a little bit more proofs of conquering, just as a way to stack up the guild currency a little bit. In terms of setting and collecting these rewards, if you own a crown, you basically own one piece of territory. And the highest crown in a settlement will dictate the rewards. So if you own the tier 8 crown and the NPCs hold the tier 10 one, you are the highest crown holder. If you hold the tier 10 one, you're the highest crown holder. If you hold the tier 6 one and someone else holds the tier 8 one, they are the highest crown holder. But the one at any given moment will be able to pick between one of 3 different options given per settlement. So they're unique to the settlement, but sometimes they are things like materials, sometimes they're like shrine chances, gold, orns, florins, and in this case, proofs of crownship. There's also a couple extra ones, and you'll get to find those out as you participate more in the Conqueror's Guild. And once daily, about every 23 hours, we made sure the cooldown was set. We made sure they set it like that. 23 hours, you can collect rewards from all of your crowns. Thematically, your other souls will be sent out, but your other souls don't need to do anything in particular for that. You don't need to travel to any of the territories. They go out and they collect it and they bring it back to you. In reality, it just shows a little reward screen immediately afterwards. But it's where you get all the rewards from your currently owned crowns. The distance and how contested the territories are determine how much rewards you're going to get from them as well. So if a territory is highly contested, you might see something like double the orns that you usually do. And these ones will actually be indicated when you go and take them. There will be a little, there will be yellow text and that says this area is highly contested. You're going to get extra rewards from these guys. So some of the rewards that you can use, that you can do, is you can use ramparts. Ramparts are essentially a type of bonus that you can add to yourself to give yourself more of a chance when fighting in territories. So ramparts can refill your HP for all of your territories, or decrease the chance that your NPCs take over areas, or in the most important case, I think for a lot of people, is disabling ascension levels. So if you have, say, an ascension level 100 in your area, and you're only ascension level 5, you can bring it down to the Blades of Finesse level and challenge them both at ascension level 0. Do keep in mind these guys do have a cooldown, so you don't have 100% uptime for all of these guys. A couple of them do, but they're a little costly. So you'll have to time these out effectively for when you want to use them. And they are purchased with Proofs of Conquering. There's also Crown Guards. These are basically just raw boosts to your stats, with the added bonus that it also decreases the chance that NPCs will take your areas. Most of them are purchased with Proofs of Crownship. I believe the lowest one is purchased with Proofs of Conquering, but again, these could be changed over time. I would take these with a grain of salt, but most of them are Proofs of Crownship. There's also pets and summons. While the details of those guys are being refined as we go on, they do have special territory-based things, such as the skill Crownfeller, or Crownfeller 2 for the higher tier ones, that do more damage to a current crown holder. So if you're attacking, that will do more damage. They also have area defense bestial bonds if you're looking at pets, which just increase your raw stats like attack, defense, magic resistance, all that jazz when you're defending. So you guys can put these on to help with territory capture as well. Your other souls can also equip followers, just keep that in mind. So you might want to put the lower tier ones on those as well. And not a shop reward, but there's also carving stones. You can use these on a settlement. Currently, the way to obtain them is a little unknown, a little TBD. but you can use these at any settlement to leave a little message, and other people that go and visit it can see it. They will see your name as well as the message that you leave behind, as well as the date that you get there. And as a carving stone does, it will wash away after about a week. So it's like leaving a chalk mark on the sidewalk for your friends. Keep in mind that those are able to be reported, so if you say anything nasty, that can easily be reported. All right, that's all basically I have to say about the Conqueror's Guild. You guys are ready, and stay tuned for more content coming out with those soon. Thanks much.